Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Books and Bytes. Today, we're taking a deep dive into Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the third book in J.K. Rowling's series. This one really takes us on a roller coaster, doesn't it?
It sure does. We've got a wrongfully accused prisoner on the loose, soul-sucking guards, a mysterious new teacher, and a whole lot of secrets to uncover.
So much going on. What I think is really fascinating about this book is how it goes deeper into Harry's emotional world, exploring all those, fear, betrayal, yearning for family.
Right. The first two books kind of focused on establishing the magical world, but Prisoner of Azkaban really starts peeling back the layers of Harry's past and how the trauma shapes him.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It's the summer before Harry's third year at Hogwarts, and things are already pretty tense in the Dursleys. We see Harry just yearning for any connection to the magical world, a letter, an owl, anything to break the monotony.
And that yearning for connection, for belonging, that becomes such a major theme throughout the whole book. Harry is constantly looking for a sense of family, a place where he's loved and accepted.
Absolutely. And then, bam, Hedwig arrives with all those letters and gifts, including that unruly monster book of monsters from Hagrid. It's almost like a little piece of Hogwarts arrived on Privet Drive.
Oh, yeah, that monster book of monsters. Such a great metaphor, isn't it? It's like all this untamed magic that has to be understood and controlled, much like Harry's own powers. And it foreshadows Hagrid's struggles later on teaching care of magical creatures.
Right, like his enthusiasm for the creatures sometimes clashes with the dangers.
Exactly.
That scene with Harry wrestling the book is hilarious.
Yeah.
But then, amidst all this excitement, we get a dose of reality. That newspaper clipping about Sirius Black's escape from Azkaban, and suddenly this shadow of fear just hangs over the whole story.
The introduction of Sirius Black is so important. It adds this danger and suspense that even gets into the lighthearted parts. And it forces Harry to confront not just external threats, but his own fears and the trauma of his parents' death.
Yeah, you're right. The escape of Sirius Black changes everything. Harry isn't just a boy wizard going to school anymore. He's a target, a potential victim of this supposedly dangerous wizard.
And that feeling of being hunted, of constantly looking over your shoulder, really adds to the story. It reflects the anxieties that many teenagers face.
And speaking of feeling threatened, let's talk about the Dementors. These creatures are terrifying.
Oh, they are.
They suck the happiness right out of you,
I know.
leaving you with only your worst memories. It's like a physical manifestation of despair.
Rowling's description of them is so powerful. They really represent the darkest aspects of being human, the depression, the trauma, the feeling of utter hopelessness, and their presence at Hogwarts, a place of wonder and learning. It creates this oppressive atmosphere.
Right, like a prison. It's interesting how the Dementors affect Harry so strongly. Every time he encounters them, he's thrown back into the memory of his parents' deaths.
That's right.
Reliving that trauma over and over.
This just shows the impact of trauma and how it can stay with you even when you're trying to move on. The Dementors are tapping into Harry's deepest fears and insecurities.
And making him feel so vulnerable.
Exactly.
And what makes it worse is nobody seems to truly understand what Harry's going through.
Yeah.
He tries to explain how they make him feel, but even Ron and Hermione can't fully grasp it.
It's like he's isolated, unable to communicate his experience, and it adds another layer to his character.
It really does. Even surrounded by friends, he feels completely alone in his struggles.
Exactly.
So then, after that incident with Aunt Marge, remember when she gets inflated like a balloon?
Oh.
Harry ends up running away from Privet Drive, terrified and unsure what to do.
This incident is a big turning point for Harry. It's like a break from the Muggle world, a rejection of the Dursleys.
It is. And then he runs into the night bus, that crazy magical form of transportation.
Oh, the night bus. That's such a great example of Rowling's humor.
It is.
It's such a contrast to the Dursleys, a reminder that the magical world is dangerous but also full of wonder.
And it takes Harry to the Leaky Cauldron, the gateway to Diagon Alley. And who does he meet there? Cornelius Fudge, the Minister of Magic himself.
Wow.
And what's interesting is Fudge seems more concerned with keeping Harry safe than punishing him.
Right, like the Ministry knows about Sirius Black, but they're trying to keep it quiet, maybe to avoid panic.
Yeah, exactly. And then Fudge forbids Harry from leaving Diagon Alley, saying it's for his safety. But it feels like he's being controlled.
It does. This theme of control and restriction, it becomes more and more important as the book goes on. Harry's always being told what he can and can't do, where he can and can't go.
And it's just like with the Dursleys. always being told to stay out of the way.
That's right.
It's like he can't escape being controlled.
You're right. It's like he's searching for a place where he can be himself, where he's not defined by other people's fears.
Okay, so while he's in Diagon Alley, Harry gets his new school supplies, including that creepy divination textbook. And we also meet Crookshanks, Hermione's cat,
Oh, Crookshanks.
who seems very interested in Ron's rat, Scabbers.
Oh, yeah. Remember all that?
Oh, yeah. And speaking of foreshadowing, the Weasleys arrive with some chilling news. Sirius Black is specifically after Harry.
That changes everything.
He does.
Now it's not just a random criminal, it's a personal vendetta.
And you see how the Weasleys react. They become so protective of Harry.
Like he's one of their own.
Yes, especially Mrs. Weasley. She's like a mother hen.
Their love and support, even with all the fear and uncertainty, really shows how important family is.
It does. Such a contrast to the Dursleys.
Absolutely.
And then comes the journey back to Hogwarts on the train. Just as things are settling down, a Dementor boards the train looking for Sirius Black.
Oh, no.
It's a scary scene.
It is. This is where Harry really experiences how powerful the Dementors are and how they brought back his worst fears and trauma.
Right. The story goes from adventure and excitement to this dark and sinister feeling.
Exact.
Rowling describes the Dementors' effect so vividly. The cold, the despair. It's like we feel it too. And then, out of nowhere, Professor Lupin shows up, the new defense against the dark arts teacher. And he drives the Dementor away.
Lupin is so important here.
He is.
He's immediately the protector, someone who understands the darkness Harry's facing.
And he knows how to help.
Yeah.
And giving Harry chocolate after. Using sweetness to combat the darkness.
Like a little glimmer of hope?
It is.
Yeah.
And with that, we arrive at Hogwarts for a year of unexpected challenges and surprising revelations.
It's going to be a wild ride. As the school year gets going, Harry finds himself in the middle of all this intrigue and danger. You've got the mystery of Sirius Black, the threat of the Dementors, and the tension between Harry and Snape.
It's like Hogwarts is a sanctuary, but also a pressure cooker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
These moments of joy and friendship,
Yeah.
but always this feeling of unease.
That feeling is even stronger with the new teachers, like Lupin, who's great, but seems to be hiding something. And then you have Professor Trelawney, with her predictions and prophecies of doom.
Oh, yeah. That first divination class where she predicts Harry's death. Everyone was freaking out.
I know.
Even though McGonagall dismissed it,
Right.
it definitely stayed with Harry.
Trelawney really embodies that idea of fate and self-fulfilling prophecies, even if she's not always right. Her words have power.
Yeah. And it's interesting how McGonagall and Trelawney clash.
It is.
Like logic versus intuition.
Two different ways of understanding magic.
It makes you think about how we try to make sense of our own lives.
Right?
Dealing with the unknown and the unpredictable.
Absolutely.
And then there's Hagrid, who finally gets his dream job, teaching care of magical creatures.
Yeah.
So enthusiastic. But things don't always go smoothly,
Not at all.
especially with teenagers and those creatures.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the first lesson with the hippogriffs?
How could I forget?
These powerful creatures. And Malfoy, of course, has to provoke Buckbeak. Classic Malfoy.
The small Malfoy move.
Always making things difficult.
But it has serious consequences.
It does.
Not just for him, but for Hagrid, too. It's a reminder that even small acts of cruelty can have a big impact.
So true.
And it really highlights the prejudice and discrimination in the book.
Yes. Malfoy looking down on Hagrid because he's half giant.
It's like a reflection of the biases in our own world.
It is. Rowling does a great job of weaving those real-world issues into the story,
She does.
especially for young readers. Makes them think about these things.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about the Marauder's map.
Ooh, the map.
This magical map full of secrets. It's how Harry learns the truth about Lupin.
That Lupin's a werewolf.
Yeah.
It's a huge twist, but it also makes his character more interesting. He's this skilled wizard, but also an outcast.
Right. He has to hide a part of himself.
Because of how people might react.
It's like that duality in all of us.
The light and the shadow.
Makes us think about how we treat those who are different.
It does.
And Lupin's struggles tie back to the theme of fear,
Yes.
the fear of the unknown, which leads to prejudice.
So true.
Our fears can make us blind to the truth.
They can.
And Harry learns from Lupin about empathy and understanding.
He does.
This seeing beyond the surface.
Lupin teaches Harry how to defend himself against dark creatures, but also how to face his own fears.
And during one of those lessons, while Lupin's teaching Harry the Patronus charm, the truth about Sirius Black comes out.
That's such a huge moment.
I know. We thought Sirius was this evil wizard
Right.
who betrayed Harry's parents. And then we learned he was actually their best friend, wrongly accused and imprisoned.
It's one of the best twists in the whole series.
It is.
Changes how we see everything.
And makes you question authority figures.
Yes.
And the importance of finding the truth for yourself.
Absolutely.
The way the Ministry handles the situation shows how they prioritize control over justice.
They're so focused on capturing Sirius Black, they don't even consider he might be innocent.
And speaking of manipulation, Peter Pettigrew, this seemingly unimportant character,
Oh, yeah.
turns out to be the real villain.
The one who betrayed Harry's parents.
And he's been hiding as Ron's rat, Scabbers.
The whole time. It's amazing how Rowling sets that up.
You guys?
With Crookshanks always chasing Scabbers.
It's a reminder that appearances can be deceiving.
They really can.
And then there's time travel.
Oh, yeah.
The time turner.
Such a cool concept.
Hermione using it to go to multiple classes. But it also plays a big role in the climax,
It does.
allowing Harry and Hermione to help Sirius escape.
Time travel adds this exciting element to the plot, but it also lets Harry and his friends take control.
Right, they're not just reacting anymore.
Exactly.
They're fighting for justice.
It shows their courage and resilience.
And their willingness to challenge the rules.
You see the power of friendship and believing in what's right.
And their actions show the power of love.
They risk everything to save Sirius, not just because he's innocent, but because they see the good in him.
It's a bittersweet victory.
It is.
Triumph over injustice.
But also a reminder of the sacrifices made for the truth.
Okay, so the climax of Prisoner of Azkaban. It all happens at the Shrieking Shack. That creepy old building outside Hogsmeade.
The Shrieking Shack.
That's where everything comes out.
Yeah.
About Sirius Black, Peter Pettigrew. The truth about Harry's parents.
It's such a powerful scene.
It is. Terrifying and exciting at the same time. Werewolf transformation, Dementors, and then time travel.
Right. The Shrieking Shack is like this symbolic space where all the trauma comes to a head, this battle between good and evil.
Yeah. And it's claustrophobic, too.
It is. Adds to the tension.
And in all this chaos, we see Harry really step up.
Yeah.
He's not that scared boy anymore. He's ready to fight for what he believes in. He's ready to protect his friend.
He challenges everything he's been told about Sirius.
That's right. He doesn't just accept things at face value.
And that's how he finds the truth.
And it's not just Harry who's brave.
No, it isn't.
Hermione, even though she loves rules,
Right.
she breaks the laws of time to save Sirius and Buckbeak.
And Ron, even though he's terrified, stands by his friends.
It shows the power of friendship.
It does.
That belief in doing what's right, even when it's dangerous.
And then there's the Patronus.
That saves Harry and Sirius from the Dementors.
Such a strong symbol of hope.
It is.
Love and protection.
Remember what Lupin says about it.
Oh, yeah. How it's the essence of what Dementors feed on.
Right.
Hope, happiness, the will to survive.
Such a beautiful image. And the fact that Harry conjured it himself, thinking it was his father.
That's so important.
It is.
Shows the connection he has to his parents. A strength he didn't know he had.
And then Buckbeak escapes.
Yes.
That feels like justice prevailing.
Over prejudice.
Compassion against an unjust system.
Buckbeak and Sirius, both wrongly accused. Their escape is a victory.
It is.
Against those who want to control and oppress.
And it shows that even small acts of kindness matter.
Like Hagrid caring for Buckbeak.
So true.
So, even with all the twists and turns, there's this sense of hope at the end.
There is.
Sirius is free, and Harry has found a new purpose.
He's not helpless anymore.
No.
He's found his voice, his strength. He knows his place in the magical world.
And he's not alone.
He has friends, mentors.
And the legacy of his parents.
Prisoner of Azkaban is about confronting our fears, challenging what we believe.
And fighting for what's right.
It reminds us that even in darkness, there's light.
That love and hope can win.
And that the truth, even if it's hard, will set us free.
It will.
What a journey. I'm always amazed by this book.
Me too.
The power of storytelling.
Rowling is brilliant.
She really is.
Yeah.
Weaving together these complex themes.
Right.
And creating this magical world.
Yeah, we all love.
And it reminds us that even in fantasy, there are truths about ourselves and the real world.
Absolutely.
So for all of you listening, what stood out to you most in Prisoner of Azkaban?
What are your thoughts?
Share your insights with us on social media. Until next time, happy reading.